Hey guys, I want to welcome you and let you know how great it is to have you here for the Greater Purpose Podcast.
Welcome to the Greater Purpose Podcast from the Cubs room. The huge cheering crowd in the background. We cram them in back there, but we tell them to sit down so they can't be seen on camera, right? He's not going to lie for me. There's nobody in here but us. But anyway, and you're here for the Greater Purpose Podcast. We're glad to have you here. Don't forget to support our number one sponsor, A+ Lawn Care and Landscaping. They do all kinds of stuff besides landscaping. You can go get case knives there. You can get bug killer. You can buy a lawnmower. They're in Gastonia on Ozark Avenue. So make sure you check them out. We appreciate their support and your support. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. If you like something that you've heard today, put something in the comment. Or if you don't like it, we won't be hurt.
Gently give feedback.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Gentle feedback. Or you could be like my executive producer, Donna Ward, who also happens to be my wife, who gives me gentle feedback all the time.
Sure,
you know how the gentle feedback is. Actually, she just kind of tells me that didn't work and that worked. So it's kind of cool. So, so as you know, we're still doing our standard podcast where we have new guests come in and they give us their inspirations. And that's the basic foundation for a lot of those. But God's leading us in an additional direction, not a new direction, but down, we're going down two paths at the same time. And part of that path is to re-invite some of the guests who have been either requested or had a lot of response, or somebody just said, hey, why don't you have this guy back on, that kind of thing. And because they were interesting, we hope that was the reason, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Philip McGinnis is back again.
Thank you.
Philip with one L?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think most Philips I know are one L. And I always thought Philip was two. It does seem like that's
been the majority now. Yeah.
I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah. A lot of my certificates and things were misspelled when I was young, but now most of the time people get it right.
Yeah. Because when I went to look you up in my phone, I think I did two L's. I'm like, oh, great. I don't even have his number. What happened? Mm-hmm. And then I went backed out an L, and there you were, along with a bunch of other Philips. Yeah. So Philip with one L, glad to have you back.
Thank you. About my name, it's funny because it's actually three family names. My grandmother's maiden name was Phillips.
Oh.
And then my mom's maiden name was Smith. That's my middle name. Okay. And then my last name is McGinnis. So I'm technically three family names in one.
Nice. Quite a legacy there.
I guess so, yeah.
Maybe a legacy to be carried on in the pulpit. No, I'm just kidding. I told you I wasn't going to do that today, and then I did it. No.
I think that's best. Yeah, go ahead and get me on balance at the very beginning.
Right, there you go. I do that because his father is Pastor Eddie McGinnis, who we still have not been able to get on the podcast.
I think he's starting to have me
even at the encouragement of his son, and the encouragement of your mom at Country Fest 2 years ago.
I'm sure that was gentle feedback from my mom to my dad. Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're still trying. We haven't given up on him. So it's, I had one guy, it took him 2 years to get here, and he finally, he made it. So, but it was not because he lived in Statesville. So, but anyway, and I get it. Some guys don't want to do a podcast, but we're glad to have you back. And you're going to share some stuff with us, but do you want to talk about the pastor thing since I threw it out there? And now they're going, what are they talking about?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Why not?
It's been on my mind anyway, just as far as not actually doing it for weekly, hours or anything like that, but just the concept, because I feel like it leads into the other thing I was going to kind of talk about careers and about opportunities for young men and women, but there's just so much that is changing so fast. Right. And I feel like one of the roles in my family, I've always been the one looking for how to do things. Really, I think for as long as I can remember, I've just looked to see how things can be done by going out and looking. I've not really tried to get anyone else to tell me how to do things. I myself wanted to go out and just observe from a moderate distance and then kind of approach things as I felt like they looked like they were working.
Right.
That's all I can remember of how to, I didn't ever trust. It wasn't that I was distrustful. I just found it more fun to go and see.
Yeah.
And so, whether that's at the time, that seemed like I was just trying to throw away tradition.
Right.
Because, there was a lot of career opportunities that if you didn't go and try and see too many things, you could have a good life just following a path that had already been, walked. But just, I think it was kind of coincidence or something that now that's not really the case. Like even many young men that want to follow in their father's footsteps, those paths are growing over quickly because of, jobs that went overseas or things that are just changing with the way Charlotte's growing.
So much
and then
culture,
AI and automation and stuff like that too. So anyway, thinking about what a church is even, it's been on my mind because it's way different to be a pastor even in 2005 to 2025. It's a completely different existence, just like being a teenager. It's completely different in 2025 than 2005. And it's all about the constant, like we said, feedback. Whether people are commenting on something, it's a nonstop 24/7 machine of preaching, having an image, people talking about the image. And I think it's just not what a lot of people signed up for when they wanted to be pastors prior to the internet or to the social media era of the internet. And it worries me just about the stress that's on pastors because it's not super highly compensated for many pastors, but it's not a 24/7 compensation. If they're taking a salary.
But it's a 24-hour job.
But it can be. You can worry about what people are saying. And if there's negative trends of what people are feeling about, the way you're running your organization or however it is. So I've really been thinking about that a lot because I think it doesn't match very well. Like when you got into it for ministry, I think ministry like this podcast and these conversations is much better when it's deeper and not a whole lot of noise and a whole lot of cheering or clap. It's just, and I feel like we live in a very noisy world.
Interestingly enough, somebody I just had a conversation with in the last week and multiple other people have said the church was never, this is not how the church was supposed to be set up. The church was a group of people, a smaller group of people building into each other's lives and sharing the fundamental spiritual beliefs and all that kind of thing with maybe one person that might be leading. But the big mega church kind of thing, really even a 400 or 500 church kind of thing is really not the way it was set up. Not that it's a terrible or bad thing.
No.
It's just different. So you got to think of that kind. But interestingly enough, also, you have I have a marketing mind. And so sometimes when I see some things in the church and I'm thinking, well, I think that would work better if we marketed it better. It's a great program or it's a great event or it's a great whatever, but nobody knows about it because nobody's told them about it. So, you've got the marketing mind. Yours might be a 48-hour day job if you did that.
Well, I think it's valuable work because there's so many messages that are trying to reach all people, especially young people though. And so you have to do your best to reach them with a message of Christ and of the church. So that's going to involve marketing and knowing where people are listening. And so I definitely agree with that. And it is hard to break through when they're being offered this promotion and this event and this buy now. Like, that's everything's, kind of rapid.
Instant gratification.
Purchase soon. This window's going to close. This discount, everybody's feeling this, constant need to pay attention to their device. And so it's just really hard to break through with the message. There was a lot of value in things like community bulletin boards, where that took a little effort to go to the post office and put a thumbtack on the board or whatever place you might have it. And those things now just aren't nearly as trafficked as what you used to see. And people don't pay them attention. I still use them when like at the Shield Museum, when I was the marketing director there, I still went and put flyers on those library bulletin boards because they still have there's still an impact. People still do pay attention and lift their eyes up from their phone in lobbies.
Because it's different.
From time to time. It's getting, I think, a little bit better. And there are some trends, I think, that people are paying attention to those kinds of efforts. You know,
gotcha.
So, but word of mouth marketing is, I still think, a big deal, and that's where with the school, we at the charter school.
Yeah, because you said you wanted to discuss some of that. So
we do.
I started you off on the.
It all does kind of run together, and so the word of mouth part of the school, I think, is what we really do get. We don't have hardly any marketing budget. I wish that we did. I would feel comfortable utilizing it, but we've found out that it's not absolutely necessary to have a paid marketing budget. It's not super easy. But
community charter school, by the way.
Community charter
here
school
in Stanley. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So, but yeah, the way that you treat people and the way that they tell people that they were treated still matters so much.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
It's a huge factor. And I would say that's 85% of the charter school's success.
Yeah.
Plus they have a great staff. But again, that's because they're treating the kids well and they're treating the families well. That leads to word of mouth referrals. And then all we have to do is be able for somebody to find our application portal online. Right. So you have to be able to be found once somebody's heard about you.
That's right.
But all of the paid marketing efforts for things like that, you don't have to have it. It does help some if you're trying to break through.
You have to work a little harder though. If
you do.
Not a paid effort.
Yeah, you do. And then we do have. I think the other thing that I've learned is that events still go a long way.
Right. Right.
So like
you guys just had another.
We did have a fireworks show. And
I know it was all over Facebook.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to notify people. That's as far as like if they would push out a notice that they would have fireworks or something. I did see a couple of people want to know about it for their dogs, so I understand that. And I just don't know how.
Yeah, that's just social media stuff as far as the local Facebook pages and other social media, but and then the town page and that kind of thing.
Totally. That's one thing that I moderate a parent page for the school, and it's about 1,200 members now. It's a big group. But just one of the things that I always ask them for is like, if you give something that you don't like about the school, but just in general, anywhere that you speak, I think it's nice to also offer some suggestions for how to fix it.
Right.
So if the noise was a problem for the fireworks, in the feedback, I would also like to know how can it be addressed. Yeah. Because we do post about those events online and say there will be fireworks, but if you don't read the description or look at the picture and see fireworks, maybe you don't know that means there will be.
Right.
So I don't know if there's some kind of little application thing I could fill out for the town that says we always notify people of noise.
Yeah, some people would.
We could put that in place for the town.
But here's what you find out on those social media pages. But even at some of the schools or daycares where I teach, you've got a holiday coming up and they're going to be closed. They start notifying their parents a month in advance. Well, it's on the calendar to begin with.
Yeah.
Then they start notifying their parents individually through these groups and stuff, or as they're coming in the door, or through a flyer that goes home with the kids, or whatever, a month in advance. But inevitably, somebody shows up on that morning that they're closed, knocking on the door, wondering why the school is closed.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that is kind of the, going back to reaching people with the messages of church. I have tried this a million ways, and there really is no way to reach everyone. Yeah. Even if you try every effort,
right.
We use phone trees, we use text, we use email, we use social media, we do, printed flyers, all these things. And it will always, people are getting, I don't know, there's probably a statistic we could look up later, at least a couple hundred inbound pieces of information, whether that's a commercial, a notification from an app,
at least
an email, a message. It's a lot of things to sift through. And so it gets buried, it gets blocked, whatever it might be. But yeah, I think that I feel like, and I understand why people speak that way online, at least I think, is that they have plenty of experiences of people not caring what they have to say. Well, so they just complain because they don't think anybody's really going to follow up on action.
Right.
But that's just not me. If I see a complaint, I really do want to follow up so that it's not a problem.
Right.
But I get it. They've probably been trained through a lot of other experiences that their words are just going out into the void and not much is going to be done. So I don't take it personal.
So you're nicer than I am about that. I think some of them complain just to complain, to be quite honest with you. So not everybody,
right?
But a lot of them complain just to complain because they've gotten and I say that because I see them complaining about everything that's going on.
Yes,
that only posts that they make are negative posts.
But we might have talked about this before in the past. My college history started with a psychology degree as an undergrad, and then a counseling degree for a master's from UNC Charlotte, and then my undergrad was from UNC Wilmington, and then my master's that led to marketing was an MBA from South Carolina. And so I've always liked to learn. It wasn't like I really did it for my career. It was that I just was going to learn anyway. So I just stayed in school. I figured I might as well earn a credential. It wasn't necessarily like a plan. I just knew I was hungry to learn. So anyway, the counseling degree had led me to think a lot about how people tick. And I really appreciated that. And then one of the things that I picked up a couple years after I left the counseling program was this theory called perceptual control theory. It's actually an electrical engineer. I think he was from Chicago. And he came up with this idea that people behave a little bit more like a thermostat, and that we have these acceptable ranges of things that we're comfortable with. And we'll react when it drops below a certain level or above a certain level. And that's kind of, we just sense for it. So some people, like with complaining, I think it could be that they complain when, like you said, maybe they don't have anything to do. And maybe, I know nowadays people aren't content. They don't have a lot of peace. So if they don't have anything to do for 30 seconds or so, it triggers do something. And sometimes people get into a habit of going online. And if they have gotten into a habit of sharing some, complaint, I think it really is tied back to some need that isn't being met. That might not even be related to the thing they're talking about.
I think that's right.
So as you said, being nicer, it kind of helped me a lot just to say, I wonder where that's coming from. I really don't know that it's about that issue. It's something else. I think that
keyboard warriors.
Maybe they're mistreated in their household.
And I know not
maybe they just retired and they don't know what to do with themselves, and they just make a one or two bad test of how to handle this anxiety of not knowing what to do. And it gets a little bit of reinforcement because social media likes engagement, and people followed that or something. And then you can end up becoming somebody you didn't mean to be.
That's interesting. Sense? I like that. I mean, so I can see that. So then you're caught up in this repetition of something that was really not intended to be. Well, so I know that's not where we were going, but interestingly enough, years ago, back before COVID, I had posted up something negative about our Bojangles here. And I'm the kind of person like you are. I'm going to go do something about it. Well, I didn't. I just posted up something negative. And somebody sent me a personal message and said, hey, come on, Bill, you could do better than this. They really did. And I didn't take offense by that. I said, okay, fine. I took the post down and I contacted the district manager. I contacted the store manager, and I contacted the regional manager. And we had a meeting. All of us, the four of us.
That's great.
So, because the things that were happening were not just one time. Repetitively. So, and I'm not saying, this is years ago. I don't really go there much anymore. So, but anyway, but it was proactive rather than just complaining about it. Now, after that, they did make some improvements, but two of the people in that conversation kind of blew me off. The regional manager did not. He took it very seriously. And they did try to do some stuff, and they kind of got back on the tracks for a little while, but then, but I didn't go back up and start complaining again with it. I just stopped going.
And that leads me to something I just told my daughter recently, because the kids talk all the time. She'll be 17 in September. And
God bless.
I know. She's doing good. She's doing good. But, just things about what to say to people in a message. So if it's getting into a little bit of like, if somebody's maybe not catching your hints about what you're trying to say, or they're being a little pushy. And she will sometimes, which she does a great job of asking kind of, what do you do when it gets to this point? You've tried to hint towards what you're going for. And it's very easy for what you say to people to be about the result you're trying to get. And I told her, I was like, you have to say what makes you feel right, regardless of what they do about what you say.
There you go.
And that's a very hard thing to learn, just like you were saying, like with your feedback. Even if the company didn't improve, if you feel like you did it right by going to them like that, that's all you can do. You can't make sure those people follow through. So, and you can't hold a grudge if they don't, because that means you're only doing it the right way, so that they will do, it's too much tied to what they do. For you to feel right about what you do. And that's a dangerous thing to live your life making any choices. And I think that's why I try to, convey to her that all you can do is in any reaction or any action that you take is based on what you value and the person that you want to be. And then that may not get the follow-up. It might not even be the most effective for a result. But what your goal should be is being the person you want to be.
Well, I guess probably in the reverse of that, and we're going into psychology here, check this out. In the reverse of that, sometimes if you're like me in this respect, you find yourself giving a response because you just want to get the conversation over with. Does that make sense? So you're not looking for them. Listen, he's not going to respond the way I wanted him to anyway, so I'm not even going to tell him the truth. Right. I'm just going to go ahead and go in a different direction, and let's wrap this thing. Does that make sense?
And that can be all right if you value the efficiency of the use of your time.
Yes.
If that's why you did it, no problem.
Or even because it's somebody that I'm just like, okay, if I just keep pushing him, he's going to go off the deep end, and I don't want to go that route. I still want to keep this person as a friend or a contact or whatever. So
Absolutely.
Just be done with it. Does that make sense?
It totally does.
So
anyway,
that's kind of communicating.
And so that's how I think that it's very difficult to do communications with the public. When it's 24/7 and through these platforms that are naturally more engaging when they're controversial. Mm-hmm. But I think I found a loophole that it doesn't really drain me. I think like most people, because I just want to treat people a certain way. Yeah. That's kind of my goal. Yeah. I would love for them to change the way that they speak towards things that I work on or towards me. Yeah. And a lot of times they do. They treat me really well. Yeah. But they might not always. Right. And that's not going to make me upset because my goal is to treat them a certain way. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they'll be reciprocal. Yeah. But it's not why I'm doing it.
Yeah. We Eric Cheney was in here a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about friendliness in church. And I kind of, we're not friendly as we should be. You get the greeters when you come in the door, but you get in the sanctuary and nobody says anything to you. So we're not treating each other the way we would treat. I'm not treating you as a visitor as I would treat somebody that I know. So, but I kind of tied that in this weekend with a Sunday school message, sort of what you're saying, which is you don't have to agree. You may not like what they said, you may not like what they stand for, but you still have to love them. And we still have to have compassion. Mm-hmm. So I might think you're 100% wrong, and I will probably tell you you're 100% wrong, but I still love you, I still care about you, but you can't say that to everybody. So you have to convey that in a different way, I guess. So which that's the art of the communication skill, right? So
it is, and the world does not support these skills very much currently. It really has to. It's an internal drive, and all the systems that we're plugged into, the financial system, our communication systems, they do not support this kind of attitude whatsoever. Right. It's very much a violent kind of world of attacking, opinions and attacking other people or getting there first and buying the stock before anybody else gets there. That kind of thing. It's just a very competitive and aggressive kind of system. And again, even with like stocks and online gambling, it's just always on 24/7. Yeah. So people are just trained in this, like, I got a notification, I'm going to pounce. Or, this is an opportunity. I got to get there before you get there. Right. And that's just not how it was 20 years ago. Yeah. You might have ambition, but you had to wait till 8 a.m. to really go apply it. Right. People are staying up till 4 a.m. because they got ambition at 7 p.m. And they think they might be able to, but then they're unhealthy. Yeah, that's it just didn't used to be that possible, and I don't think it's good for people.
No, right? Yeah, it's it's draining them. Yeah,
and that's the thing about careers.
And it's draining the community.
It's draining all like what it feels to be a human. Yeah, there's a lot of like the good parts of being a human that I think have been taken away.
Yeah. So
it doesn't have to be permanent.
Right. So back to the charter school. Yeah. So tell us some good things that are going on there. Tell us some things you're doing that are sounding positive, which I see positive things all the time. And there have been some negative things that I've seen posted, but you guys have done, I don't know if that's part of what you're doing there, but I've seen such a positive way of handling some of that, even like the traffic in the beginning with the new setup. Yeah. You guys.
We did have great traffic this morning. They went back to school today.
There you go. Well, and
so the drop off this morning went super smooth.
I've seen them communicate well. I mean, I'm not even involved, but I'm hearing the communication about what's going to happen, how it's going to transpire, et cetera. So I knew about the fireworks. I knew about this stuff, and I'm not involved in that loop. So I think you guys are doing a really good job on that kind of thing. So how are you positively influencing, the kids, the boys, the men? And we talked about that a little bit before we started. So
one of the new projects that's coming, I'll start with one that's already partially there and could be developed quickly, is we're looking at what the sports programs offer for the upper grades. So they've done an amazing job getting sports launched. We started K5 and then added a grade level every year. Right. So this is K11 this year.
And what year did they start? What year did they?
1920.
There you go.
Yep. So we were like 4 months in when COVID or something like that. It was a very interesting time. And then changing campuses as well. So we've done a lot of growing in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And so with the sports program, wasn't really that necessary K-5, but then it started to become necessary pretty quickly.
Right.
And they've done a great job building that out for the middle school grades. But we're looking at what high school can be because we don't have a huge amount of high school students to draw talent from. So it's hard to make a team of 10 people when you don't have 600 to choose from or whatever it may be. And that's our kindergarten enrollment is around 120 students. And so we started with a full kindergarten the first year, and we kind of had a pyramid shape from enrollment. So the upper grades didn't have as many.
Yeah.
So anyway, sports wouldn't be able to have these large teams. It would be super lucky that all of them are just tremendously gifted in all the sports and can fill all the teams. So we're trying to figure out how it can be a wellness program and a training program. So maybe skills-based training for sports. So, batting practice instead of being on the baseball team as an example for high school, and making you really good, connecting you with the coaching that you need at the school and outside of the school to help develop you, prevent injuries, understand how like your lifestyle matters, maybe some of those things where you can use fitness bands and trackers and stuff like that. So that's something I really want to help with to give them a sense of almost like what you get when you're entering college, and they kind of give you a dedicated fitness or a wellness coach. Giving them early access to some services like that is what I'd really like to do. I think it'll give them a sense of like a training program, and some discipline, and something where they're getting help with tracking progress towards goals. Because again, like in a noisy world, I struggle a lot with tracking progress in a place where I can go find that and it's nice and clear. I know Jerry Seinfeld said that he would write a joke a day in a notebook. Every single day he had to write a joke, even if it was garbage. He never let a single day go by. And that was how he tracked that he was creating new material, look in the book. Does it say the previous day? And I struggle with those kinds of tracking things for life in general. So I think that having fitness and tracking kind of tied together is a good start. And then you can translate those skills into your career as well. Because it also helps me. I learn when I help people, it helps me with what I'm helping them with myself. Because I realize with the constant world of work and communication, it's very easy to get lost in tracking and your progress.
So Doug Schluter was there when I was teaching some of the STEM stuff that I was doing over there. He's still rocking and rolling.
And they keep adding to the PE team and the physical education team.
Yeah, there were two guys, but Doug was the one I remembered. So
and sports, and I think Doug has stepped up a lot for sports. And Rachel Kennedy has done a great job. She brought some of her experience from previous schools. So as the principal, she's done a great job as well, helping to make sure that all the barriers to launching these programs have been cleared.
Cool. Growth is amazing.
And then Dr. Jim Montag, he came from, I think it was Lakeview Charter. It's his first year with us as the executive director.
Gotcha.
And so I think he's a great guy. I saw him shoot free throws, has a great form. So I think he's an athlete. He made all three that I saw him shoot, I think.
Oh, there you go.
And so I think and I know he has kids as well that'll be getting up into those upper grades not too long from now.
So if you made the free throws, you're in. Right?
I saw it. I don't know if you, not to bring politics into it, but Trump said something funny about Tim Cook from Apple. I don't know if you saw that quote.
Wow, I know.
He was to congratulate him. He's like, he's got talent at all the things. He's got these business talents. He said everything except athleticism, I think, just by looking at him.
I think I might have heard that.
It was funny. It was unnecessary. Everybody laughed. But I was saying about Jim, I did notice his athleticism. So I think that he'll probably have a lot of interest in the sports program as well.
So we watched the same, now the girls they were there for the football, but Mountain Island Charter was the same situation. They started out in the trailers over in the Methodist Church and just grew and grew and grew to the point they are now. So that's what we're seeing here with you guys.
Their sports program, I think, was a standout. It had great facilities pretty fast, and they got a lot of talent really quickly. And I think that's actually a selling point for people that want to enroll at Mountain Island is their sports program. So that's awesome.
But but that's the direction you guys are going, I see. So.
In some ways. I don't know if we'll ever have like a football stadium and field like, where they did that. We might not have a football team. We could. But a lot of those decisions are based on parent input. And I haven't heard too much. I think people are going to go to a school with a football program at this point, if that's what they want.
Right.
And that may be the way it always is for upper grades. If your young male student is really wanting to play football, they might choose Mountain Island or whatever other county school district they're in.
Right.
And that can be great. some parents have a connection to that school. It's where they went and they played on that team. And there's not much we can do to sever that connection. And we really don't want to.
Yeah. Well, I love the school choice options now.
Yeah.
They're growing and gaining. And I need to have somebody in here one time to see if they think that that's doing what we think it would do, which would make the public schools better or not. But I don't know. I've never really asked them. That's a whole can of worms.
I hope so. Yeah. I really hope so.
Yeah, I would think that it would be, because if they're losing their funding because everybody's going over here, then we've got to do something different to get them back in.
And again, with statistics, I probably will work on this because what we're working to turn my role into is an advancement and fundraising role primarily, to where I help get grants and donations to help do things like if we wanted, a new sports team, help to fundraise for some of what it would take to do that.
Right.
So anyway, just the stats of the funding impact to traditional county schools and things like that. I don't know the exact stats. I don't think it's quite as dire because they are funded by property taxes. Right. So they do have to give us a slice. I probably shouldn't throw out numbers, but it might as well be. It might be a bad guess at this point, but I think it was like $1,300 a student.
Okay.
Because the charter school gets about $8,000 per student to cover the entire organization. So you are funded by enrollment. So you have to kind of do a dance between enrollments and staffing and buses and facilities and all that stuff.
Right.
But it's not, and most of that comes from federal and state funding, not county. So the county's property taxes are obviously pretty large, and especially with all the new homes that we've built in the past 5 years.
Bigger,
they have a lot of money, and a lot of that goes to law enforcement and education. Whereas, and a lot of ours is from a different pool of funding completely from state revenue and federal revenue.
Much pressure going on as they're acting like.
I'm sure it's some, but it's not like one. We don't take all the funding they receive for that student from the county schools. Not at all. And so anyway, and I hope that it does improve everything for everyone. I think at least for teachers, how I would feel is if I were a certified teacher, it does, I think, brighten their career possibilities because they know there are multiple cultures to choose from to work within a school. Yeah. That they don't have to be just stuck with one culture of how Gaston County Schools Human Resources or the leadership there makes that feel. Hopefully it's good. Yeah. But competition is what makes these cultures compete with each other for school environments. Right. And then I hope that if the teachers are happier, the classrooms are happier, the students perform better. I feel like that's the truth. Yeah. And that if you're a teacher in the charter school or the county schools, you can change teams if you don't feel like that's the culture that fits for you. And that type of competitive force should make the cultures both stronger. Yeah. So I hope that's how it works.
I'm sorry, I just threw that out there. I didn't mean to go down that rabbit trail. I can do rabbit trails if you want to, but anyway. But
my life seems like it has about 15 or 20 of them.
I think that's the problem when we talk is because we both do that. You've got one, and I've got, and we just seem to connect on a lot of that stuff, which is really cool. Yeah. We've had some really neat conversations in the past. But so you said that was one project, the sports. What's another area that you're kind of addressing over there?
So career for young people, I think that's a big one. So whenever the first graduating class will be next spring, and I just want them to be prepared for a very uncertain future, which I think just means you're ready to adapt. Mm-hmm. You're not prepared for a set path. You're prepared for a set of skills that allows you to adapt to a world that we can't really predict across 3 to 5 years very well. And I think that was something I was saying that tying it all together with churches, with schools, then with these young people's careers, the way it feels to enter society is not so smooth. Yeah. It's there's so much friction, there's so much noise, and it's not, I think that, maybe young people never wanted to grow up, but I think right now it's never made more sense to not want to grow up because being an adult, a lot of all the good parts have been sort of chewed up and spit out by technology and change and culture. Yeah. And so I feel like I want to help them because you have to grow up. Yeah. You have to become productive. Even if it doesn't look too great and promising, you have to realize that is the reality ahead of you. Right. And I see a lot of people already posting nostalgic videos from 1985 about how much better it was to be an adult. I agree. Yeah. I became an adult looking for work in what would have been 2008. or so, 2010, it was already not too good.
Yeah.
It was changing, but I had lived in the 80s and 90s, and I knew it seemed better for adults from my point of view at that time.
Yeah.
It wasn't nonstop, like vicious emails at all hours of the day.
Right.
Like work was at work and home was at home.
Yep, absolutely.
And these young people have zero chance of that.
Yeah.
And
I can see back then, I graduated in 82, I guess it was. But anyway, it was definitely, I wasn't afraid to go out into the world. There was not a fear of having to go into the work world or having to apply myself. I mean, doesn't mean I didn't get nervous going on a job interview like that. But I mean, as far as, yes, this is
the big ocean to swim in wasn't nearly as like full of sharks.
No, right, exactly.
And I feel like that's true of the world. And if I were young, I would feel super reluctant and kind of bitter that the world was the way that it is when I was going to enter it. And I can't change the world, but I can try and help young people be better prepared and not walk into it with bitterness.
Right. Well, and you touched on AI, and I understand everybody's scared to death of it. Well, they shouldn't be, but they are, and we should be concerned, and there are concerns that are being addressed. But at the same time, from the way I view it, and I've been using it a lot more lately. I've introduced myself to a couple of really cool AI besides ChatGPT, which everyone uses. Several others that have been just whoa. I just did the TGP mountain picture that you commented on. I think so. That was you knew that, but it was artificial intelligence. I can create that in my mind. But I can't. I'm not an artist. I'm not. I do graphic stuff, but that probably would have taken me 10 hours to try to create on my own. It was created in less than 5 minutes with my AI. So
very helpful.
I see it as greater opportunities, especially for younger people who can take advantage of it and grab a hold of it quicker than I can. I see it as greater opportunities for who knows what more they can do, maybe.
I agree, but I also think that just like in that is it'll feel more like being an effective, it's more like a computer. Humans that will achieve the most, the fastest, will think and behave and understand the world more like a computer at the speed of computing. And that's a thing that's very different. And I'm not saying that's bad. I don't think most people are wired that way. I think most people are wired to be better at human speed. And that's what we were saying about the world in 1985 and what it felt like to enter that world. Competition, for the most part, moved at the speed that humans move. It wasn't light speed. It wasn't like competition at the speed of like a photon shooting across to Asia from Texas. That's what it is now. And that's even with AI. Like when you're making things using AI, you're competing way differently. You're using its brain to move at light speed to help you move at light speed. It's not really human. It's a way to co-evolve with computers or something. And not bad. I just don't know that many people are wired for it. Does that make sense? Not everybody's wired for college, and not everybody's wired to think like a computer, like take their mind and put it into a virtual space and see how they connect these dots. Not everybody is wired that way.
But maybe, I guess the way I see it, because I'm not really wired that way totally either. I mean, even though I do the robotics and stuff, the robotics are all hands-on stuff. So we're not involved in AI at all in that. It might have been developed by somebody that way, but I'm using the AI to do what I already do a little bit better. That's the way I see it. As I don't see it as taking the place of what I'm doing, because it's not going to take over doing the podcast, but it's going to help me do what I'm doing with the podcast, hopefully, and seems to be a little bit better than what I was able to do in 20 hours a day before.
I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And not just to be funny, not being serious about this, but I do have this thing called 11 Labs, and it's an AI voice generator. And so
so they could do my podcast.
I was going to say, technically, I'll send you a clip of you doing a podcast segment that you've never said. It can sound exactly like you.
I know. And I have seen,
pretty spooky.
And that's the scary part of it. Some of it. Now, a lot of it, I mean, you could look at it and tell
Yeah.
that it's AI. I mean, I've seen a whole bunch of things that look really
Video
good.
right now is still very easy
Yeah.
to tell.
Yeah.
Images are getting harder to tell, and audio is almost impossible to distinguish what's real and what's not.
For a long time. I mean, scam artists have been using that for a long time to copy your voice and go do something else.
So even those kinds of things for young people that just doesn't hardly make sense naturally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you really have to become familiar with a foreign way of seeing reality.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whereas
that fits in my head, I guess.
But a lot of people, I think, rightfully don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to accept a foreign view of reality that wasn't here for thousands and or however many years, at least 1,000 or two.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to resist, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we have to turn it off, because I'm sure we probably can't, especially with international competition, we can't. But I'm just as worried as anybody, like what it does to people who just don't want to live like that.
Yeah.
They're not going to have much opportunity, I don't think, to have other livelihoods if I don't, unless we have some kind of laws to protect them.
Right. Well, yeah, and hopefully that will be. And I was going to say a minute ago, I think that would be a good place for young people to explore. Is not the moderating. Well, yes, the moderating, but the control of the moderating, the policing of whatever you want to call it, of AI. That would be, I think, just like when we started with the internet. I mean, we didn't know what a virus was. We had no clue. Well, guess what? Now there's all kinds of antivirus programs and companies, and it's a multi-billion-dollar business.
You're right.
So those people who saw that and took advantage of that and said, okay, we're going to protect you from this, when that was never thought of before. Does that make sense? So
it does.
I would hope, at least it seems to be historically, it develops into another avenue of a profession or a business, or capitalizing on something we're already doing to change or help or improve.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
See, I'm telling you, now you got me thinking out there.
Yeah. No, I think, it really is something that, and that's one of the things I want to do with the school, and is to hear from young people what they see.
Yeah.
Because
they definitely have a different view.
They do. And they can, hopefully 17-year-olds have some 20-year-old, 25-year-old friends or brothers and sisters that are already living some of these career experiences that I can hear about, because most of the people in my world are 14 to 20 or so. That's like all of my kids and my daughter and my sister's kids. And then my age, which is like 40 to 45.
Yes,
and then my parents are 65 to 70 kind of range. And so I don't know that many people in the age group of 22 to 35.
Yeah.
It's just not so, but that's where the most pressures are going to be felt currently.
Right.
So I'm hoping that some of these young people can help me.
Oh, cool.
And say, what are you hearing? How's it working for them? Because I feel like that's probably one of the things I would say I have a unique skill for, is making sense out of stories with just a few. Yeah. If I hear 5 to 10 stories, that's why with marketing, I would ask 5 to 10 customers how the event went. And from those 5 to 10 detailed feedbacks, I could pretty much understand exactly how it went.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, I try and hear from people that are directly affected, and I can generalize pretty well and then make huge improvements.
Yeah. You mean we learn from other people?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be all the people. You don't have to have 500 interviews,
right?
But listening to 5 or 10 people you trust are giving you their genuine experience, not trying to have a bias or trying to be mad. Yeah. If they're trying to really share, you can learn so much from 5 to 10 people.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. Neat stuff, man. Yeah, we have to learn from each other. That's what we're trying to do here. So what would you want? I know you've got not a big time limit, but I know you had to be somewhere, but you had several things you wanted to cover. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch base on before we wrap it up, or you got something you want to share additional, or? See, there's the big question.
Not that I can think of. I appreciate you inviting me to be here. It's kind of like a bonus feature in an old DVD. Yeah. Like this can be just the things we didn't cover. Yeah. Well, it's not the blooper reel yet, I don't think.
No, not yet. So we've shared a couple of those, but people don't realize how much effort it takes to make a blooper reel.
Oh, I'm
it takes
sure.
hours.
Yeah, I love that.
So I haven't made one in a while.
Yeah.
I did a couple as fillers and stuff like that, but I need AI to help me with that. So, and that's out there.
Yeah.
But what I'm glad you said that, because what you need to do, you don't remember what number your podcast was, do you? I don't either. So probably not. That's okay. Go back, search through the podcast numbers, find Philip's original podcast, and that gives you the foundation. And then this is, like you said, just some bonus information on some things going on that you're involved in, because like we believe, God sets a path before you, and you follow that path. Now, sometimes you go this way or that way, and sometimes you go this way, but I mean, it's God's path, and that's what we're trying. We're trying to influence and emphasize, hopefully, in the things that we do, not just in church, not just spiritually specifically related, but in business and in school and in teaching, etc. Trying to emphasize the godly walk that God, hopefully has us on. So am I right or wrong about that? I guess. Yeah.
Totally right. And that's why I think it kind of ties together, just all the things that we've talked about, is that with young people, all people, really, all ages, but with God's path that he does lay out for you, there's so many influences and messages that come at you every single day now through your devices that are specifically targeting your weak spots, pretty much, that try to nudge you off of that path in little tiny nudges until you're so far off of it. And that's the thing that I worry about, is just like with churches and just what it feels like to be spiritual or have any stillness or any peace in the world. It's very hard. And I hope that if I can do anything, if we can do anything, if our community can do anything to help young people, they need it. Because not even very strong-willed people or strong-minded people are very likely to withstand this much intelligent technology influence that faces us every single day. And so I think one of the reasons, like, you have this conversation, this is probably one of the reasons that you're not off track more than you are. This is
you
not
guys keep me on track.
These conversations help a lot, but if not everybody's doing these conversations, if most of their stuff's online, it has a huge effect on people. We
emphasize that here, and you hit it again without us really even trying to go there. Stay connected with, specifically, if you're a man, an adult male, you need to be connected with other men, because if you're not seeing that, you're not understanding what the godly walk is. And again, we're not there. We haven't arrived. We're not saying we're super righteous or super, we're not saying that, but God's got us going in a certain direction. If I've got myself surrounded by people who are not that, or if I'm just not connected with them, then I don't know. I mean, God is using other people to help us keep it on that path. So that is what we're trying to do here, and to stay on that path, but also studying God's word, prayer, communication with God, staying in fellowship, worshiping him, praising him. All those things intertwine. And I think that if we leave any of them out, then I think we suffer, and I think we falter, and I think we struggle. So, but anyway.
I totally agree.
So stay connected out there. Find a group. There's plenty of, you guys have a men's group over at CBC. There's men's fellowships everywhere. We're talking specifically to men right now. But there's also ladies fellowships. There's also, combined classes, or whatever you want to call it. Plenty of opportunities to build into other relationships of fellow believers. The last podcast I did was about discipleship. It's what he was talking about, discipleship. You disciple somebody, and somebody disciples you. That's how that's supposed to work. It's not all about me just being the teacher and being the leader and everything falls on me. I've also got to be learning from someone else, but building into somebody else's life, and you building into my life, and I'm building into somebody else's life. But it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
So anyway, cool. Well, Philip, thanks again for coming today. I appreciate it. If they need to get a hold of you, how do they do that? Because you got some marketing stuff going on down in Mount Holly.
Reach out to Bill. No, I really need to get, because I have like 10 email addresses. I don't know which one to give.
Okay, just send me one.
Yeah.
And then if you need it, I'll send it to you, or I'll post it up in the in the comments and the stuff like that. Thank you for being here for the Greater Purpose podcast. Remember, we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. You got to put all that together, not just to everyone, everything, every time, no matter what, but it's all tied together. But anyway, we'll see you again next week for the Greater Purpose Podcast. God bless. Take care.